The world is hurtling toward a food crisis unlike anything we've experienced before. By the end of March 2025, shelves will be bare of 30 critical grocery items, leaving millions scrambling to secure basic necessities. This alarming reality isn't confined to distant, disaster-stricken regions. It's knocking on the doors of even the most developed countries. Climate catastrophes, from relentless droughts to destructive floods, are devastating crops and livestock. Diseases are sweeping through agricultural systems, while wars and export bans are choking the global supply chain. Meanwhile, the relentless surge of inflation and skyrocketing production costs are making it nearly impossible for producers to keep up. What's worse, this isn't just a temporary bout of scarcity. It's a systematic collapse driven by unprecedented levels of instability across the globe. The vital foods you and your family depend on daily could vanish without warning, and once they do, they may not return for months or even years. The clock is ticking, and the signs are growing clearer with each passing day. If you don't start preparing now, you might find yourself in the midst of chaos, vying for dwindling resources with millions of others. Brace yourself. This is a glimpse into what the near future holds. 1. Eggs. A breakfast staple no more. Eggs, a seemingly simple supermarket staple, have become one of the hardest-hit items. The driving force behind this crisis is the devastating avian flu outbreak, which has wiped out over 26 million egg-laying hens in the United States alone. This lethal virus has spread like wildfire, culling flocks across the country and crippling the egg supply chain to an extent not seen in decades. For consumers, the effects are catastrophic. Egg prices, already high, have skyrocketed by an unimaginable 53% year-over-year as supplies hit dangerously low levels. Meanwhile, analysts predict prices will surge by an additional 41% in the coming months, pushing eggs out of reach for many families. Grocery store shelves, once teeming with cartons, are now eerily empty. Those that do stock eggs are imposing strict limits on purchases, leaving customers scrambling, literally, to secure even 1 dozen. With these conditions worsening every week, recipes reliant on eggs may soon feel like a luxury of the past. Imagine breakfasts without omelets, pancakes, or baked goods. Restaurants, cafeterias, and home kitchens alike are already struggling to adapt. Unless disease control measures succeed, eggs may become a near-extinct commodity by spring. The egg crisis is a chilling reminder of the fragility of our food systems. 2. Chicken, the vanishing protein source. The beloved, affordable protein that defines countless family dinners, chicken is also teetering on the brink of disappearance. A cocktail of critical issues, including soaring feed costs and the relentless reach of the avian flu, has attacked broiler chicken operations across the nation. Farmers are at their breaking point as production costs spiral out of control. Meanwhile, outbreaks of the disease have decimated flocks, leaving a deeply diminished chicken supply in their wake. The impacts are jaw-dropping. Meat counters are no longer guaranteed to stock standard cuts like drumsticks, thighs, or breasts. Prices, already inflated by 20 to 30%, continue climbing steadily. As supplies dwindle, selective cuts of chicken could cease to exist in stores altogether. What happens when the mainstay of sandwiches, salads, and weeknight dinners is no longer available? And fast food giants who rely heavily on chicken for nuggets, sandwiches, and tenders are preparing for disruptions. Home cooks and businesses alike will need to search for alternatives to this versatile protein. But with fewer options remaining, some meals may simply become memories. 3. Turkey, a holiday favorite turned rarity. The turkey crisis casts an even darker shadow as it unfolds. Since 2022, the same avian flu that hit egg-laying hens has claimed the lives of 14 million turkeys. The result? Turkey production in the U.S. has plunged to its lowest level since 1985, sending shockwaves through grocery stores. The typical abundance of deli turkey and ground turkey has been replaced by gaping holes on shelves, with no clear sign of recovery in sight. While many associate turkey with festive holiday meals, this shortage affects much more than Thanksgiving or Christmas dinners. Ground turkey, used as an affordable lean protein in everyday dishes like burgers and casseroles, has become increasingly out of reach for consumers. Turkey deli meat, a lunchtime staple for sandwiches, has all but vanished, and when you can find turkey, the price increases are steep enough to discourage most buyers from even considering it. Families that once relied on turkey as an affordable source of nutrition may soon have to strike it from their grocery lists permanently. This widespread shortage is yet another piece of evidence that the end of March 2025 could mark a new low in food availability. 4. Beef, a rare luxury reserved for the few. Beef, once a staple of dinner tables, is vanishing at an alarming rate. The U.S. cattle herd has shrunk to its smallest size since 1961, driven by years of relentless drought and soaring feed costs. Farmers, unable to sustain their herds, have been forced to cull their cattle, a desperate measure that has disrupted the beef supply chain almost beyond repair. The consequences are dire. Beef prices have surged by an astounding 25% and show no sign of stabilizing. Cuts that were once affordable have become premium luxuries. Even ground beef, the humble ingredient of burgers and meatloaf, is growing scarce. Shoppers are left facing empty coolers, and the prospect of enjoying a steak or hamburger is fading into a distant dream. For a nation dependent on beef as a dietary staple, the implications are shocking. Restaurants are reducing portion sizes, and home cooks are turning to alternatives that pale in both taste and nutritional value. The disappearance of beef is not just a dietary inconvenience. It signals a cultural and culinary shift that will leave many longing for the flavors of the past. 5. Pork, a global crisis of devastating proportions. For pork lovers, the forecast is equally chilling. African swine fever has wreaked havoc on global herds, and rising feed costs have driven the nail further into the coffin of pork availability. This relentless disease has not only decimated herds, but incited worldwide panic among farmers and consumers alike. The result? Bacon, ham, and pork chops are becoming rarities on grocery store shelves. Once a breakfast staple, bacon is now a luxury only a few can afford. Ham, beloved for holiday meals, is increasingly absent, leaving families to scramble for alternative, less inspiring options. The crisis doesn't end there. Imports, once a lifeline, have dwindled due to global shortages. Even countries typically rich in pork resources are battling scarcity. The pork supply crisis is a nightmarish scenario hinting at a darker future where eating pork might be a memory consigned to history. Without intervention or a solution to this epidemic, the global pork shortage will only deepen, leaving consumers to wonder if this staple will be gone forever. 6. Milk, a disappearing dietary staple. Milk, an essential in nearly every household, is following a grim trajectory. A lethal combination of disease, extreme weather events, and feed shortages has devastated dairy production worldwide. Cows are producing less milk, and dairy farms are closing their doors under the crushing strain of these challenges. The projections are terrifying. Milk production is expected to remain significantly below demand for the foreseeable future. The effect on grocery stores is already apparent, with 2% and whole milk frequently out of stock. Prices for what little remains on the shelves are sky-high, making this once basic commodity out of reach for many families. Milk, a vital source of nutrition for children and adults alike, is teetering on the edge of scarcity. Parents are anxiously searching for alternatives for their children, but substitutes like almond or oat milk cannot fully replicate the benefits of dairy. Without sufficient milk, recipes, breakfasts, and even coffee routines are being radically altered. An unsettling glimpse into the future of food security. 7. Butter. Butter has long been a kitchen essential, but all indications suggest it might soon turn into a luxury few can afford, or even find. The butter supply is being hammered by dwindling milk production, a direct outcome of widespread climate change and ongoing struggles in the dairy farming industry. Severe droughts, fluctuating temperatures, and poor crop yields are affecting cattle diets and reducing milk supply globally. Without sufficient milk to process, butter production has plummeted. The impact is being felt already, with butter prices skyrocketing by a shocking 35% or more in many regions. Grocery stores have begun rationing their supply, and empty shelves are becoming the norm. By March 2025, experts warn that butter could almost entirely vanish from local stores, especially in affordable brands. Stockpiling might not even help, as the supply chain interruptions show no signs of repair. Imagine trying to bake, cook, or even spread butter on toast. It may all soon be a nostalgic memory. 8. Cheese. When it comes to cheese, the issue compounds. Dairy shortages caused by the same environmental and economic disasters wreaking havoc on butter production are also reducing cheese availability worldwide. Everyday favorites like mozzarella, cheddar, and Monterey Jack have already seen their prices rise by 10% or more. But this is only the beginning of the problem. With less milk reaching processing plants, some cheeses are being produced in dramatically reduced quantities or not at all. This is a chilling prospect for households that depend on cheese for basic meals, snacks, and recipes. Pizza nights could disappear, sandwiches may lose their creamy layers of melted cheese, And affordable, readily available dairy varieties could be nothing more than a fond memory in a matter of months. Experts project that if global circumstances don't improve, even premium cheeses will face availability issues by next spring, massively driving up costs and limiting access. 9. Bread and flour. If the wave of dairy shortages isn't troubling enough, brace yourself. There's an even darker forecast for bread and flour. These staples are under constant threat due to the global wheat crisis. Catastrophic climate disasters, including severe droughts and devastating floods, have significantly reduced wheat yields around the world. Adding to this already disastrous situation are geopolitical issues, such as war and resource blockades, which are further disrupting wheat exports. The domino effect has been devastating for consumers. Bread prices have shot up alarmingly, and the once affordable simple loaf is fast becoming unaffordable for lower and middle-income households. Meanwhile, flour mills in numerous regions are operating at reduced capacity or shutting down altogether due to insufficient raw material. Without access to reliable quantities of flour, home baking, a lifeline for families trying to save money, has become harder than ever. Household kitchens might soon witness the end of beloved traditions like baking homemade bread, pancakes, or cookies. The terrifying thought? Bread and flour shortages aren't improving, they're intensifying. Projections indicate a severe scarcity that could fully implode by the end of March 2025, forcing households to face steep price hikes and, in many cases, a complete lack of options. 10. Pasta. If pasta is a weekly staple in your home, prepare yourself for a grim reality. The global durum wheat crisis is intensifying, stemming primarily from failed harvests in major producers like Canada and Europe. Erratic weather patterns have wreaked havoc, leaving farmers unable to meet the soaring demand for this critical ingredient. The result? Grocery store shelves are increasingly barren, with once plentiful varieties of spaghetti, penne, and macaroni disappearing faster than they can be restocked. Prices, too, are spiraling out of control, with some areas reporting more than a 20% hike in cost. For households dependent on affordable pasta for family meals, this shortage is nothing short of devastating. The question looms ominously. When will it get better, or is this just the beginning of a prolonged scarcity? Experts warn that these issues won't resolve anytime soon. Consumers already struggling with inflation will find it harder to adjust as pasta becomes a luxury rather than a pantry essential. You'll see fewer discounts and buy one get one promotions, driving up the financial strain for many. And if you think you can substitute with other grains, think again. This global turmoil is interconnected, and the ripple effects are far-reaching. 11. Rice. Rice, another staple millions rely on daily, is slipping through our fingers, turning into an increasingly elusive commodity. While it may have been a reliable backup in the past, erratic monsoons, coupled with export bans and ballooning fertilizer costs, have changed the game. Once abundant in markets worldwide, specialty rice varieties are now scarce, with even basic types following close behind. Some regions are grappling with record price surges, with increases soaring up to 37% on plates. Once brimming with this versatile grain are becoming markedly empty. And the worst part is, the crisis isn't limited to just one type of rice. It's spanning across white, brown, and even aromatic variants, like basmati and jasmine. The situation grows more dire by the day. Export bans from major rice-producing countries, such as India, are tightening global supply chains. Fertilizer shortages have worsened yields, forcing farmers into desperate measures that yield inconsistent results at best. Hoarding has begun, with consumers and retailers alike panicking over future shortages. If you're planning to stock up now, be warned. Time is against you. Soon, the sight of rice on store shelves may be nothing more than a distant memory. 12. Corn. Corn, often underestimated for its versatility, is facing its own catastrophic decline, with consequences rippling through countless industries. You might think of corn solely as the base for tortillas or popcorn, but its importance extends far beyond that. It is a backbone of the food chain, crucial for livestock feed, cereals, biofuel, and more. Unfortunately, Mother Nature has turned her back on corn growers. Torrential floods, relentless heat waves, and mold infestations have decimated crops across multiple major producing countries. The result? You've probably already noticed inflated prices for corn-based products, and the trend is only getting worse. Even more unsettling is the domino effect this corn crisis is causing. Livestock, which heavily relies on corn for feed, is now facing diet shortages, leading to soaring meat and dairy prices. Forget affordable milk, eggs, and ground beef. These items, too, will become progressively unattainable for the average consumer. The corn industry's struggle is no isolated event. Its downfall puts immense pressure on other sectors, creating chaos that extends far and wide. For those living in areas already struggling to keep grocery costs manageable, this disaster feels like the tipping point for food insecurity. Combine this with the ongoing hit to agricultural infrastructure, and large-scale recovery feels nearly impossible. Add the growing risks of hoarding and supply chain breakdowns, and you're staring down a terrifying future where corn isn't just scarce, it's practically extinct from everyday life. 13. Coffee. If you're someone who can't function without your morning cup of coffee, it's time to brace yourself for an impending caffeine crisis. Coffee lovers are facing unprecedented challenges as a perfect storm ravages the global coffee supply chain. Brazil, the world's largest producer of coffee, is grappling with consecutive droughts and unexpected frosts that have decimated their coffee crops. These extreme weather patterns, fueled by climate change, have pushed coffee production to its knees, sending shockwaves through the industry. The impact is already visible, and the situation is deteriorating rapidly. Coffee prices have skyrocketed, with wholesale values doubling seemingly overnight. Popular coffee blends you once took for granted are vanishing from store shelves, leaving disappointed customers searching in vain. Supermarket coffee aisles are shrinking as brands struggle to meet demand. Experts warn this is just the beginning. If these conditions persist, coffee could go from being a daily staple to a rare luxury item by March 2025. Imagine a world where your ritualistic trips to coffee shops end in disappointment, or worse, shuttered storefronts. Start stocking up now, before this beloved beverage joins the growing list of items that may be impossible to find. 14. Chocolate. Chocolate lovers, prepare for heartbreak. Your favorite indulgence is in jeopardy, and the future is grim for this sweet treat. The root of this crisis lies in the unforgiving conditions of West Africa's cocoa-growing regions. This area, which produces more than 70% of the world's cocoa, is battling a relentless combination of droughts and devastating plant diseases. These environmental challenges have crippled cocoa farmers, drastically reducing yields and leaving entire crops unsalvageable. The fallout has been catastrophic. Cocoa prices have surged an alarming 163%, forcing manufacturers to reassess their ability to bring products to market. Chocolate bars, baking cocoa, and even the most basic chocolate products are vanishing from store shelves. What remains will likely cost you an arm and a leg. With the holiday season in sight, the idea of celebrating with chocolates may become nothing more than a wistful memory. Bakers, candy enthusiasts, and anyone with a sweet tooth could find themselves scrambling to secure what little is left before it's gone for good. The supply crisis promises to stretch well into 2025, so if chocolate has a special place in your heart, now's the time to start hoarding before scarcity becomes reality. 15. Sugar. The global sugar shortage is a bitter pill to swallow, and its effects will ripple through grocery stores far and wide. Sugar, a key ingredient in countless foods and beverages, is teetering on the edge of severe scarcity due to devastating weather conditions in some of the world's largest producing countries. Weak monsoon seasons and persistent droughts have slashed agricultural output in top sugar producers like India and Brazil. This production shortfall has sent prices soaring to decade-high levels, creating a nightmare scenario for consumers and businesses alike. The impacts are far-reaching and chilling. Packaged sweets, breakfast cereals, and countless other sugar-laden staples are already disappearing. Manufacturers, unable to absorb the skyrocketing costs of sugar, are scaling back production or discontinuing products entirely. For families, this could mean sacrificing favorite desserts and cereals from their shopping lists. Imagine walking into stores and finding empty shelves where your favorite sweet snacks once sat, a scenario that could arrive sooner rather than later. By March 2025, sugar shortages may not only hinder your access to comfort foods, but could dramatically alter global food production as we know it. The clock is ticking to prepare before this vital ingredient is gone. 16. Olive oil. If you've been relying on olive oil in your kitchen, brace yourself. One of the most essential cooking staples is about to disappear from grocery store shelves. The drought-stricken Mediterranean, responsible for over 70% of the global olive oil supply, is reeling under the pressures of extreme weather patterns. For a region that has traditionally been the backbone of this golden elixir's production, the ongoing environmental crisis is leaving a severe mark. Olive harvests have plummeted, with countries like Spain, Italy, and Greece reporting alarming declines in yields. This disaster has already caused prices to soar to record-breaking highs, and the situation only seems to worsen with time. Shelves that once brimmed with vibrant bottles of extra virgin olive oil are now starkly empty, or worse, stocked with suspicious low-grade substitutes pretending to fill the gap. Food fraud is becoming a concerning issue as unscrupulous producers mix olive oil with cheaper ingredients, making it harder for consumers to access the authentic product. With the Mediterranean on the brink of prolonged drought, there's no visible sign of recovery. Experts predict olive oil will become a luxury item, unobtainable for the average household. If you need olive oil to prepare your favorite dishes, you might want to stock up now, before it's gone for good. 17. Vegetable oils. Think you've dodged the olive oil crisis by turning to other cooking oils? Think again. Sunflower, palm, canola, and other vegetable oils are facing their doom as relentless global tensions and climate extremes choke supply chains. The ongoing war in Ukraine, a major sunflower oil exporter, has sent shockwaves through the international market, crippling production and disrupting supplies. At the same time, droughts in critical regions have severely reduced crop yields, further pressuring an already fragile system. To make matters worse, export restrictions imposed by several countries seeking to protect domestic supplies are tightening the noose. Rising scarcity in the world's cooking oil stocks is triggering a domino effect across all varieties, driving prices to skyrocketing levels. Once affordable kitchen essentials are now veering into unaffordable territory, and it's only getting worse. Frying food, baking pastries, or simply dressing a salad could soon become an expensive luxury for the average consumer. With the prospect of vegetable oils disappearing altogether from store shelves, millions are facing a grim reality of overpaying for dubious quality alternatives, or worse, learning to live without them entirely. By the time 2025 rolls around, vegetable oils might just be another relic of the past. 18. Tomatoes and tomato sauce. Tomatoes, those vibrant symbols of freshness and flavor, are teetering on the edge of extinction in your local supermarket. California, the U.S. powerhouse for tomato production, and major European suppliers have been hit with an unrelenting cycle of droughts and floods. The environmental onslaught has devastated harvests, leaving farmers struggling to produce even a fraction of what used to be abundant. Extreme weather events are now the norm, not the exception, and the fragile ecosystem that supports tomato farming is buckling under the pressure. The implications are terrifying. Without tomatoes, staple products like canned diced tomatoes, pasta sauces, and even ketchup are vanishing from shelves. Prices have already surged by an eye-watering 28%, with no end to the upward trend in sight. Imagine preparing spaghetti without marinara, biting into a burger without ketchup, or making a pizza without its quintessential tomato base. It sounds like a dystopian culinary nightmare, but it's quickly becoming reality. Farmers and manufacturers alike warn that if current trends continue, tomato-based products may all but disappear from the market before March 2025, disrupting millions of households and forcing drastic changes in the way we eat. 19. Oranges and orange juice. Oranges, a fruit synonymous with health and vitality, may soon become a luxury, if they are available at all. The situation is dire in Florida, the epicenter of U.S. orange production, where hurricanes have wreaked unparalleled havoc, destroying orange groves and obliterating years of cultivation. On top of this devastation, citrus greening disease has taken an unrelenting toll. This bacterial infection, spread by insects, slowly debilitates orange trees, stunting fruits, making them bitter, and eventually killing the trees. The consequences of this double assault are staggering. Fresh oranges are already a rare sight in some regions, and orange juice, a morning staple for millions, is becoming prohibitively expensive. Prices recently reached record highs and show no signs of stabilizing, leaving consumers scrambling to secure this once plentiful product. The thought of mornings without fresh orange juice is unsettling, but the outlook is becoming increasingly bleak as Florida's orange supply continues to wither. By 2025, oranges may seem like a relic of the past. 20. Bananas. For decades, bananas have been a dependable and affordable fruit, easily accessible to households around the world. But now, this iconic yellow fruit, the Cavendish variety in particular, is staring down extinction. The culprit? Tropical race 4, fungus. A soil-borne pathogen that spreads like wildfire through banana plantations. TR4 is relentless, leaving a wasteland of withered plants in its wake. The tragedy here is that Cavendish bananas, which dominate global markets, lack genetic diversity, making them especially vulnerable to this invasive disease. Already, the effects of TR4 are being felt globally, as farms struggle to contain the outbreak. Supply chains are tightening and prices are climbing steadily. Bananas are no longer as abundant or affordable as they once were. Experts warn that if efforts to curb this fungus fail, bananas might vanish completely from store shelves by early 2025. Imagine breakfast tables devoid of this powerhouse fruit. And worse, consider the plight of millions worldwide who rely on bananas as a dietary staple. This is not just a crisis of convenience. It's a global food catastrophe in the making. 21. Berries. Berries, those vibrant and nutrient-rich jewels of the produce aisle, are also perilously close to disappearing. From strawberries to blueberries to raspberries, the delicate nature of these fruits makes them especially susceptible to the cascading effects of climate change and labor shortages. Sudden frosts, unrelenting heat waves, and unpredictable weather patterns have disrupted berry farming, often wiping out entire crops in a single season. Farmers are struggling to adapt, and many are abandoning berry cultivation altogether due to the overwhelming costs and risks. Labor shortages compound the problem, creating additional hurdles for harvesting this labor-intensive crop. Berries cannot be machine harvested without risking damage, and the dwindling workforce only exacerbates the sparsity of these fruits. Import options are limited, as other exporting nations grapple with similar climatic challenges. The result? Berry sections in grocery stores are often either completely empty or filled with overpriced, less fresh options. This trend will worsen over the next 2 years, and by March 2025, the joyful burst of flavor from a berry may be a rare memory. For many, it's a horrifying thought to envision favorite snacks, desserts, and health-conscious meals entirely devoid of these beloved fruits. 22. Leafy greens are withering away. The humble leafy greens, spinach, lettuce, kale, and other salad staples are on their way to becoming luxury items instead of grocery store basics. A lethal combination of extreme freezes, relentless downpours, and rampant disease in crucial agricultural regions has devastated crops. Farmers have been left helpless as entire fields of greens succumb to frost or rot away under endless rain. The fallout is grim. Bagged salads, once a convenient option for health-conscious shoppers, are becoming both scarce and outrageously expensive. Prices have doubled in many areas, with some regions unable to stock fresh greens at all. The situation is pushing restaurants into a corner, forcing them to axe salads from their menus. Imagine walking into your favorite eatery only to find that the side salad has been replaced with unimaginative alternatives, or nothing at all. This drought of leafy greens isn't just an economic inconvenience, it's a shadow over the availability of nutritious, plant-based food. 23. The onion is becoming a rare gem. Onions, an essential building block of cuisines worldwide, are experiencing a crisis that should alarm you. Erratic rainfall patterns, combined with strict export bans in key producing countries, have created the perfect storm of scarcity. Nations like India, responsible for significant global onion exports, have halted shipments to prioritize their own populations, leaving buyers in other countries scrambling. The immediate impact has been staggering. Prices for onions have soared to unprecedented levels. 40% increases are common, with some regions witnessing even sharper spikes. However, it's not just the cost that should worry you. The quality of the onions available has also plummeted. Smaller, bruised, or poorly preserved bulbs are now the norm. Worst of all, some stores are entirely sold out, leaving shelves eerily barren. The absence of onions, a cooking essential for stews, sauces, and more, could unravel home-cooked meals and restaurant menus alike. Have you thought about how your favorite soups and stir-fries will taste without onions? The culinary world is staring down a bleak, tasteless future. 24. Potatoes are leading the pack in the food apocalypse. The potato, beloved around the globe in its many forms, from comforting mashed potatoes to crispy fries, is in serious trouble. Heat waves and flooding across Europe and the United States have decimated potato crops, leaving farmers grappling with dwindling yields. It's a nightmare scenario that's collapsing supply chains and putting this versatile vegetable on the endangered list. Unsurprisingly, the economic consequences are stark. Potato prices have already skyrocketed, leaving many households hesitant to buy even basic bags of spuds. But beyond the price tag lies an even larger crisis: the availability of key potato-based products. Frozen fries and chips have almost disappeared in some areas, hitting restaurants, fast food chains, and supermarkets hard. Industry insiders are warning of a world where fast food just isn't fast anymore, as even major chains struggle to source enough potatoes to keep French fries on their menus. The specter of visiting a drive-thru only to hear "no fries today" is a horrifying reality heading our way. The potato's plight goes far beyond convenience or taste. It's a survival crop, one that sustains countless communities and serves as a nutritional anchor for millions worldwide. Its scarcity hints at deeper vulnerabilities in global food production and portends a future where common staples might become rarities. 25. Chili peppers and hot sauce. Brace yourself, spice lovers, because the once vibrant world of chili peppers and hot sauce is fading fast. The fiery kick that defines sriracha, chili paste, and countless global dishes is now in critical danger. A perfect storm of drought in Mexico and unpredictable rain patterns in India has decimated chili pepper crops. These two nations are cornerstones of global chili pepper production, and their struggles are sending shockwaves throughout the food industry. Imagine walking down the grocery aisle, only to find the shelves that once overflowed with bottles of hot sauce standing starkly empty. As the scarcity grows, the availability of these beloved condiments is dwindling rapidly. While certain brands may still exist, expect exorbitant price tags. Fresh chili peppers, too, are becoming a luxury, each pound costing considerably more than before and harder to find. If chili-based heat is the soul of your cooking, you may need to prepare for a flavorless culinary future. This crisis signifies more than the loss of spice. It's a harbinger of larger food insecurity driven by climate chaos. If demand continues to outpace supply, our world of heat and flavor could vanish entirely by March 2025. 26. Spices and seasonings. The kitchen might lose its magic sooner than you think. Spices and seasonings, essential for turning ordinary ingredients into extraordinary meals, are vanishing. Cyclones ripping through key agricultural regions, prolonged droughts, and a shaky global supply chain have created a perfect recipe for disaster. Staples like cumin, paprika, and even the prized vanilla bean are hitting record scarcity levels. These aren't exotic extras. They're foundational to cuisines around the world, and without them, food as we know it loses its identity. What makes this so chilling is the astronomical surge in prices for the spices that do remain. Vanilla, one of the most labor-intensive crops to cultivate, now carries a price tag high enough to make it a relic of the past for everyday consumers.